a faint whisper escaping his lips. Della, my son. Della froze. Son. Firefly grabbed the folder with shaking hands. Equa suddenly appeared behind them, shouting, "Don't open that." Firefly opened it. Bobo gasped. Della's world tilted. Inside was a document titled, "New Last Will and Testament, to be read after my death." And under primary heir, one name was written boldly, Della Men. The rest was smudged in blood. Equa screamed, "Don't you dare read that." Bobo looked at her, horror spreading across his face. Equa, what did you do? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more gripping stories like this. What do you think happens next? Comment below. Give me that will before I burn this entire house down. Equa's scream tore through the hallway like a blade, shocking even the walls into silence. Firefly spun around, gripping the blood-stained folder tighter. "Over my dead body, Equa." Her lover stepped forward, chest out, voice deep. "Relax, brother-in-law. Let the woman speak." "Don't call me your brother-in-law," Firefly spat. "I don't associate with dogs that feed on married women." The lover smirked, unfazed. Della shrank backward, the weight of the moment pressing against his ribs. Papa Mensima lay motionless on the floor, his shallow breaths struggling in and out. ESI knelt beside him, praying feverishly. "Oh Niam, not today. Not like this." Bobo stared at the will in Firefly's hand, his entire body trembling. A mixture of confusion, betrayal, and fear twisted across his face. Equa's eyes burned fire. She pointed a shaking finger at Bobo. "You let your father rewrite his will behind my back? After all my sacrifices? After everything I gave this family?" Bobo's voice cracked. "Equa, this is not the time." "It is exactly the time," she snapped. "Before he dies and that street child steals everything I built." Della flinched. He didn't want their money. He didn't even understand why he was in the will. All he knew was hunger, cold nights, and loneliness. Wealth was a fantasy. This mansion was another planet. Firefly stepped forward, veins bulging. "You call yourself a wife? Papa is dying on the ground and all you care about is money." Equa scoffed, folding her arms. "Don't pretend to be holy. You all know what's at stake." Her lover added with a calm arrogance. "Let's read the document. That's all the lady wants." Firefly lunged. "If you touch this will, I will scatter your teeth across this hallway." The lover tightened his jaw. "Try it." Tension thickened like smoke, wrapping itself around everyone's throats. Bobo raised both hands. "Stop. Everyone stop." His voice echoed through the mansion. "We need to get Papa to the hospital. Now." Equa rolled her eyes. "Oh please. That old man has been dying for months. What difference will 10 minutes make?" Della whispered, horrified. "Madam Equa, how can you say that?" Equa turned on him instantly. You are the root of this chaos. You little intruder. What spell did you cast on that old man?" Della backed away until his shoulders hit the wall. I didn't cast anything. I only gave him bread. I didn't know he was your father-in-law." Her voice dropped to a venomous whisper. "You think you're innocent? You think people like you get close to billionaires without a plan? You're after the money." Firefly snapped. "He is a child, Equa. Homeless children grow into thieves," she spat back. Della's eyes glistened. He wished he could run, but his legs felt cemented to the floor. Bobo placed his body between Equa and the boy. "You will not speak to him like that." "Oh." Equa smirked. "So now you protect him more than your own wife?" "Wife?" Firefly barked. "Which wife? The one who brought a man into this house? On a night Papa might die." Equa's lover folded his arms. "Firefly, if you don't calm down, we'll have a problem." We already have a problem. Firefly roared. Isai cried out. Please. Someone help me lift Papa. He's barely breathing. But nobody moved fast enough. All eyes were on the will. All hearts were drowning in rage. Ekwa suddenly lunged for it. Give it to me. Firefly dodged, twisting his body away. Touch me again and see what happens. Ekwa screamed, a sharp high-pitched sound that sent shivers down Della's spine. Her lover took 2 steps toward Firefly, fists clenched. Hand it over, he growled. Bobo stepped in front of his brother. You're not taking anything from this house. Ekwa's eyes narrowed. Oh really? Because I have evidence. So much evidence. Shall I tell them, Bobo? Should I tell your precious family who you really are? Bobo froze. Firefly looked confused. Bobo. What is she talking about? Ekwa smiled, slow and evil. Oh, he didn't tell you? Didn't tell any of you? Well, let me enlighten the room. Bobo whispered. Ekwa, stop. No. She raised her chin proudly. Your beloved son is not the innocent husband you think he is. Firefly blinked. What? Bobo's voice broke. Ekwa, not now. Ekwa took a step forward, placing herself directly in the center of the hall like a queen addressing peasants. Your brother has been hiding something from all of you. Something big. Firefly's voice lowered dangerously. Ekwa, if you're lying. I never lie, she snapped. Bobo hasn't been faithful either. The hallway dropped into a graveyard silence. Della's breath stilled. ESI glanced up from Popper's body in shock. Firefly turned to Bobo slowly. Is she lying? Bobo couldn't speak. Ekwa interpreted his silence as her victory. Yes. He cheated on me. 4 years. Emotional infidelity. Financial infidelity. Domestic betrayal of the highest order. Firefly's voice rose. Bobo. Bobo covered his face with both hands. It's not what she's saying. Ekwa cut him off. Oh, but it is. Should I tell them her name, Bobo? Or the hotel? Or show them the texts? Della felt a pang of fear. This family was falling apart like a rotten roof in a storm. Firefly staggered. Bobo, how could you? Papa would. Ekwa clapped mockingly. Congratulations, family. You're all hypocrites. And now that the truth is out, let's deal with this will. She charged again. Firefly jerked the folder away. I said no. Her lover grabbed Firefly's wrist. Firefly shoved him. The man swung. Firefly dodged. The 2 men collided violently, crashing into the side table. Glass shattered. Plates smashed. Stop it! Bobo shouted. But the fight grew uglier. Ekwa lunged once more toward the will. Della, acting on pure instinct, grabbed the folder and bolted. Ekwa shrieked. Thief! Get back here! Della ran down the corridor like a hunted animal, heart pounding against his ribs. He didn't even know where he was going, only that he had to keep the will safe. Stop him! Ekwa screamed. Her lover broke away from Firefly and sprinted after the boy. Della ran faster. His feet pounded the marble floor. His breath tore through his lungs. He turned the corner and slammed directly into Bobo. The billionaire grabbed Della's shoulders. Are you okay? Why do you have the will? Before Della could speak, Firefly skidded into the hallway, panting. Della! Give it to Bobo. But behind them, Ekwa and her lover approached slowly, like predators. Ekwa smiled with maddening calm. Well, well. Look at the bravery of the little orphan. Her lover cracked his knuckles. Give us the file, boy. Don't make this difficult. Della clutched it tighter. Bobo stepped in front of him like a shield. You will not touch him. Ekwa tilted her head, venom dripping from her voice. Really? You're protecting him now? Over your own marriage. This is not a marriage anymore, Bobo said coldly. The words cut like a knife. Ekwa's face twisted. You'll regret saying that. Maybe, Bobo replied. But today, I'm protecting my father's wishes. Ekwa's lover stepped forward aggressively. Move, Bobo. Firefly joined his brother, cracking his neck. You want to go through US? Try it. The air tightened. 4 men stood ready to explode. Ekwa stood behind her lover like a general commanding a war. Popper. Firefly gasped. No, no, no. Ekwa's lips curled into a quiet, victorious smirk. Della's heart tore open. Popper Mensima wasn't breathing. And Bobo whispered in horror. Popper. Popper. What have we done? He's not dead. Get away from him. ESI's trembling voice cut through the silent hallway as she hovered over Popper Mensima's weak, unresponsive body. Her hands shook violently, her tears falling freely onto his chest. Bobo dropped beside his father, his face twisted with fear and disbelief. Popper. Popper, please, open your eyes. I'm here. Your sons are here. Firefly knelt on the other side, pressing 2 fingers desperately against the old man's neck. I feel something. I think he's still breathing. It's weak, very weak. For a moment, hope flickered. But Ekwa crushed it instantly. Oh, please, she scoffed, folding her arms. He was dying before we walked into this house. Let's stop pretending this isn't his time. Bobo's head snapped up. Ekwa, if you speak one more word. She smirked, raising a brow. Or what? You'll finally grow a spine. The insult landed deep. ESI clenched her jaw, rage trembling through her aged hands. Madam Ekwa, have some shame. A whole wife. You should be beside him, praying, not mocking the dying. Ekwa rolled her eyes. What prayer will bring back a man who hated me? Save your breath. Her lover stood behind her like a shadow, unmoving, unfazed. Della, still clutching the will, could barely breathe. He pressed his back against the wall and slid down slowly, his legs trembling. Popper Mensima's faint breaths sounded like distant echoes, fading, struggling. Bobo's voice cracked. Firefly. We need to take him to the hospital. Now. Firefly nodded. I'll get the car. He sprang up and sprinted down the corridor. Bobo turned to ESI. Help me lift him. Together, they raised the old man carefully. His body felt too light, too fragile, like he had already left his body and only his shell remained. Ekwa stepped aside with exaggerated grace. Don't drop him. Would hate for you to accuse me. Bobo didn't respond. His silence was louder than a slap. As they carried Popper toward the door, Della pushed himself up to follow. But Ekwa blocked his path. Her smile was sweet poison. You're not going anywhere, Orphan. Della froze. Bobo snapped. Ekua, let him pass. She stepped aside slowly, her eyes glinting with hatred. Della hurried after the family, gripping the will so tightly the paper crinkled. Ekwa and her lover followed last, whispering to each other. Outside, Firefly had already pulled up the family SUV. The mansion lights cast long shadows across the compound, stretching into the darkness like warning fingers. They loaded Popper into the back seat. Bobo held his father's hand, whispering in his ear. Stay with us, Popper. Please. Don't leave yet. Isai wiped the old man's forehead gently, tears streaming. Della stood near the passenger door, shivering in the night breeze. He didn't know if he should enter. He didn't belong in such a car. He didn't belong anywhere. Firefly looked at him through the window. Come. Sit in front. Della hesitated. Me. Yes, you. Get in. He obeyed. Ekwa laughed from behind them. Wow. Even the street boy gets more respect than the wife. Firefly stuck his head out the window. Stay here. When we return, we will deal with you. Equa blew him a kiss. I'll be waiting. Her lover placed an arm around her waist, and together they watched the SUV speed out of the compound, Popper clinging to life inside. Hospital. Coral BU Teaching Hospital. The fluorescent lights buzzed harshly as nurses rushed Popper onto a stretcher. BP dropping, one shouted. We need oxygen now. Bobo and Firefly ran beside the stretcher until the doors slammed in their faces. Bobo collapsed into a plastic chair, burying his face in his palms. His shoulders trembled. Firefly paced fiercely. If Popper dies, Equa will pay. I don't care what anyone says. ESI sat beside Bobo and placed a comforting hand on his back. My son, breathe. He is strong. But Bobo wasn't listening. His mind was trapped in memory. Popper's warnings about Equa. Popper's suspicions. Popper's insistence on meeting Della. Della stood near the wall, unsure whether he was allowed to sit. His fingers kept stroking the edge of the will, unsure whether to hide it, hand it over, or destroy it. He had never been in a hospital like this before. Everything was too bright, too clean, too loud. He wanted to disappear. After several minutes, Firefly noticed him trembling. Della, sit down. You look like you'll faint. He sat slowly, unsure if he deserved the chair. Bobo lifted his head, eyes red. Let me see the will. Della handed it over with shaking hands. Bobo stared at the blood-stained cover, breathing heavily. This can't be real. Why would he name you? We met you barely a week ago. Della whispered. I don't know, sir. I only gave him bread. I swear. Firefly sat beside them, frowning. Maybe Popper knew something about him. Something he didn't tell us. ESI raised a brow. Like what? Firefly shrugged helplessly. I don't know. But Popper never did things without reason. Bobo swallowed hard. There's something else I must confess. Everyone looked at him. He closed his eyes, tears forming again. Equa wasn't lying. The words dropped like stones. ESI gasped. Boss Bobo. Firefly's jaw clenched. You cheated on her? Bobo rubbed his forehead. It wasn't like that. It wasn't physical. Not at first. ESI whispered. Who was she? Bobo hesitated, then finally said it. Kukua. Firefly blinked. Kukua. Your secretary? Bobo nodded shamefully. We talked. A lot. She understood me. She listened. She cared. But I swear, I ended it months ago. Popper knew. He told me to repair my marriage. Firefly scoffed. And Equa never misses a chance to twist the truth. Della looked down. Even the rich suffered pain he couldn't imagine. Bobo wiped his eyes. But cheating or not, Equa bringing a man into my father's house? On the night Popper collapses? I cannot forgive that. Firefly sat forward. We need evidence. Real evidence. If Popper dies, that woman will try to fight the will. Della whispered. She already said I don't deserve anything. Firefly nodded firmly. She will try to destroy you. But we will protect you. My father chose you for a reason. Della blinked, shocked. Protect him. Him, the homeless orphan nobody wanted? Before he could speak, a doctor pushed through the emergency doors. Everyone stood in panic. How is he? Bobo asked. The doctor sighed. We've stabilized him for now. But his lungs are collapsing. His heart is weak. He must not experience any stress. ESI burst into tears. Oh, thank God, thank God. But, the doctor continued, he kept calling one name before he went unconscious again. Bobo leaned in. Whose name? The doctor checked his notes. One, Della. Everyone turned to the trembling boy. Bobo's voice broke. He really wanted to see you. Della's throat tightened. He didn't understand any of this. Why him? How did a billionaire's father even know his name? The doctor added, he said something else, something important. Firefly stepped forward. What did he say? The doctor frowned. He said, tell them the truth, before she kills me. ESI gasped. Firefly cursed under his breath. Bobo collapsed into his chair. Della felt ice crawl down his spine. She, the doctor repeated. But he didn't say who. Firefly growled. We know who. Equa. Suddenly, Della remembered something. A memory. A moment from earlier that morning. Something he had overlooked. His voice trembled as he spoke. Sir, there's something I didn't tell you. Everyone turned to him. This morning, when I fed Popper, he told me he couldn't go home. He said someone there wanted him gone. Bobo stiffened. Firefly whispered. Gone? As in, dead. Della nodded slowly. I think he was afraid of someone in the house. Bobo stood abruptly. We're going back. Firefly nodded. Tonight. ESI clutched her chest. But the doctor said. We're not taking Popper. Bobo's eyes hardened. We're going to confront Equa. The doctor approached again. Before you go, Popper left something else. He handed Bobo a small envelope. Bobo opened it. A single sentence was written inside in trembling handwriting. Find the boy. Protect him. He is blood. Bobo's breath vanished. Firefly stepped back in shock. ESI dropped her purse. Della stared, unable to comprehend. Blood. Blood. Bobo whispered, almost to himself. Popper, what did you do? Before anyone could respond, a nurse rushed into the room, panic on her face. Sir, we have a problem. Someone is trying to enter Popper Mensumera's ward. Bobo and Firefly froze. Who? Firefly asked. The nurse swallowed hard. A woman in a gold wrapper, with a tall man. Equa. And her lover. Bobo's face hardened with fury. Firefly. Della, follow me. They sprinted toward the ward. But as they turned the corner, they saw something that made every vein in Bobo's body turn to fire. The door to Popper's room was open. And Equa was inside, leaning over his unconscious body, whispering something into his ear. Della gasped. Firefly roared. Bobo stepped forward, voice shaking with rage. Equa. What are you doing to my father? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more gripping stories like this. What do you think Equa is hiding? Comment below. Liar. You think we don't know what you're doing behind our backs? Firefly's roar shook the entire hospital corridor. Nurses froze. Patients flinched. Even Bobo stiffened where he stood beside Della, who was still trembling from the long night. Only Equa remained still, her face pale but composed, her eyes darting between the men like she was calculating her next move. Her wig sat slightly crooked, her lipstick smudged, her perfume loud enough to sting. It was the look of a woman who had run out of excuses but still wasn't ready to surrender. Firefly, lower your voice, Bobo whispered urgently. Popper is inside. He needs peace. Peace. Firefly snapped. How will he have peace when the snake trying to finish him is standing right here? Gasps echoed through the corridor. Equa clenched her fists. I have had enough of this nonsense. You think I want your father dead? You think I benefit more from a corpse than a living man? Firefly took 2 aggressive steps toward her. Yes. Because if Popper dies tonight, your lover gets nothing, you get nothing, and Della becomes the heir. Isn't that why you brought that man into our home behind Bobo's back? Equa turned sharply to Bobo. So you also believe this? After everything we've been through? Bobo swallowed hard. His voice cracked. Equa. I don't know what to believe anymore. A loud ting sounded as the elevator doors opened. Two nurses stepped out pushing a supply cart. They slowed, eyes widening at the heated scene. Della shifted nervously. He wasn't used to this kind of family drama. He was a street boy used to surviving each day quietly. Now he stood in a storm far bigger than him, a storm he didn't ask for. But Papa had chosen him. And that meant something. Ekwa's voice softened, too soft, too smooth. Bobo, my love, you know under what pressure I've been living. You know how lonely I've felt these past years. Firefly scoffed loudly. Ah, so it's loneliness that pushed you to bring that boyish lover into our house? The same one Papa caught you with. Murmurs rippled. Bobo avoided her eyes. He knew it was true. Papa had confided in him months ago. He just didn't want it to be real. Ekwa's expression hardened instantly. I will not be humiliated like this in public. I am your wife. I am the woman holding this family together. You're the one tearing it apart. Firefly barked. At that moment, a doctor stepped out of Papa's room. Excuse me, we need quiet here. The patient is resting. Bobo rushed to him. Doctor, please, how is he? The doctor sighed. He's stable for now, but his blood pressure spiked again. He needs calm. Ekwa stepped forward quickly. Doctor, when can I see him? I'm his. No. Firefly blocked her with his arm. You're not stepping inside. Ekwa looked stunned. You can't stop me. I can and I will. Firefly leaned close and lowered his voice, though it still carried. Papa said he doesn't want you near him. You stressed him into collapse. Her mouth fell open. That's a lie. The doctor frowned, raising a brow. Is this true? Firefly nodded confidently. Papa was shouting at her before he fainted. This was technically true, but it wasn't the whole story. The doctor didn't need the details. Ekwa's face crumpled. Bobo, you're not going to let them block me from seeing your father, are you? Bobo hesitated, torn, confused, hurt. Della, watching silently, noticed something the others didn't. Ekwa's hands were trembling. Not with fear. With fury. She wasn't used to losing control. Bobo, Ekwa whispered harshly, I have stood by you for 26 years. I carried your children. I built this home with you. And now, because of a will and a homeless boy Papa barely knows, you are shutting me out. Bobo closed his eyes in pain. Ekwa, please. Don't make this harder. Her eyes flashed at the word harder. She took 2 slow steps toward Della. The corridor tensed. You, she said, voice like poison wrapped in silk. What did you say to Papa? What lies did you feed him about me? Della gulped. Ma. I didn't say anything. Papa just. He liked my company. Ekwa's lips curled. Right. A dying old man suddenly prefers street boys to his own family. How convenient. Firefly raised his voice. Leave the boy alone. Ekwa snapped. He is not innocent. He stands to gain everything if Papa. Bobo cut her off sharply. Ekwa, enough. It was the first time Bobo had raised his voice at her in public. Everyone froze. Ekwa's mouth fell open in disbelief. You're shouting at me now? Bobo's voice broke. You betrayed me, Ekwa. You betrayed our family. And now Papa is fighting for his life and you're here attacking a child. Ekwa's lip trembled, but her eyes were still cold. The doctor cleared his throat. Please. If you can't remain calm, I will have security escort everyone away. They all stepped back. For a moment, silence swallowed the corridor. Then Ekwa straightened her posture, lifted her chin, and looked directly at Bobo. Fine. Since you all want to disgrace me, let's disgrace ourselves properly. Everyone braced. Ekwa said loudly enough for everyone passing to hear. Bobo, ask your brother why he didn't tell you the truth about Papa's collapse. Ask him why he rushed to hide Popper's medication before you arrived. Ask him why he was whispering on the phone saying, "We must act fast before Popper changes his will." The floor seemed to tilt. Bobo's eyes widened in shock. Firefly, is that true? Firefly's face went red. What? She's lying. She's trying to twist everything. Twist? Equa laughed bitterly. Your brother knows exactly what I'm talking about. Bobo stepped away from Firefly. Firefly, please tell me she's lying. Firefly glared at Equa. Don't drag me into your madness. That is not an answer, Bobo whispered. Even Della felt his heart spike. This felt wrong. Very wrong. Equa smiled like a woman who had just thrown a grenade and was enjoying the fire. Oh, Bobo, she said airily. Your family has more secrets than you realize. But keep protecting them. Keep blaming me. I'm sure everything will make sense soon. Before anyone could respond, she turned dramatically and stormed down the corridor, heels clicking like gunshots. Silence fell again. Bobo stared at Firefly. Firefly stared at the floor. Della watched both men anxiously. Finally, Bobo spoke, voice low and wounded. Firefly. What was she talking about? Firefly clenched his jaw. Nothing you need to worry about. That's not an answer. Firefly looked up, eyes blazing. Fine. If you want the truth, come to the house. There are things Popper wanted you to know. Things he told me to keep until the right moment. Della stepped forward. Sir, is Popper in danger? Firefly looked at him, really looked at him, for the first time. Yes, he said quietly. And the danger might not be from who we think. Bobo's phone vibrated. A message. He checked it, and his face instantly lost color. What is it? Firefly asked. Bobo handed him the phone with trembling fingers. It's from Popper's lawyer, Bobo whispered. He says he has something urgent to show us. Something about the real beneficiary of Popper's company. And he wants us at the house immediately. Firefly blinked. Real beneficiary? But we already saw the will. Apparently, Bobo said, voice quivering. There is a second document. Della's heart pounded. A second document. What else had Popper been hiding? Before anyone could respond, a nurse rushed out of Popper's room. Sir, please come quickly. Popper's heart rate is dropping. Bobo and Firefly sprinted toward the room. But the nurse reached out and blocked Della. Not you, young man. Della froze. Why not? Someone has just ordered that you be kept away from the patient. Who? Bobo shouted from the doorway. The nurse swallowed. Madam Equa. Everyone went still. Bobo's fists clenched. Firefly cursed loudly. And Della felt cold fear wrap around his chest. Why would Equa suddenly want him kept away? Unless... The pieces began falling together in his mind, and the picture they formed terrified him. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more gripping stories like this. Why do you think Equa wants Della away from Popper so badly? Comment below. Get away from that door before I call security on you. The nurse's voice cracked through the corridor like a whip. Della stumbled backward, startled by her sudden venom. Moments ago she had been calm, now her face was tight with fear, like someone had just threatened her job. Bobo spun around. What do you mean, get away? That's the boy Popper trusts. Firefly grabbed the nurse's wrist. Who told you to block him? The nurse looked from one brother to the other, her eyes darting nervously. I'm just following instructions. Madam Equa called the ward supervisor. She said the boy is a danger to the patient. A danger? Della gasped. Me. Equa is losing her mind. Firefly spat. But Bobo's face twisted with something deeper. Hurt. Fear. Confusion. Why would she say that? He whispered. The nurse shook her head. I don't know. But I'm sorry, young man. Until the supervisor clears it, You can't enter. Firefly's voice rose again, booming across the corridor. Equa is not a doctor. You follow protocol, not jealousy and madness. I'm sorry, the nurse repeated, voice trembling. But the supervisor said this order comes from the family, and without a counterorder, Bobo shoved past her. I am the family. Let the boy in. But before he could pull Della forward, a second nurse rushed out of the room, breathless. His pressure is crashing. We need space, move. Doctors swarmed. Machines beeped wildly. Firefly dragged Della back as people flooded in. Bobo pressed his forehead to the glass window, watching helplessly as Popper's frail body jerked on the bed while nurses worked over him. Della felt his heart sink. His hands shook. This was because of him, no, because of Equa. Firefly muttered. She wants to isolate him. That's why she did this. Something is not right. Bobo didn't answer. He just stared through the window with hollow, tormented eyes. After several agonizing minutes, the doctor emerged. Everyone turned. He's stable again, the doctor said. But barely. He'll need constant monitoring. Bobo exhaled shakily. Can we see him now? The doctor nodded. Yes. 2 at a time. Bobo pointed at Firefly. You go first. I'll follow. But Firefly shook his head. No. You go. I'll handle this. He jerked his chin toward the nurse who blocked Della. Bobo sighed, his shoulders sagging. Fine. As he entered the room, Della stood still, feeling small, alone, useless in the storm. Firefly turned to him. Boy, listen carefully. You don't move. You don't talk to anyone. Keep your eyes open. Something is happening behind the scenes. Della nodded slowly. Firefly leaned closer. And whatever you do, don't trust Equa. Those words sent a chill through him. Firefly marched toward the nurses' station, ready for war. Della sat on a bench and lowered his head. His thoughts swirled. Popper. The will. Equa. The blocked door. The lie that he was dangerous. Why would she fear him being near Popper? Had Popper told him something important? Something Equa didn't want revealed? His mind raced, replaying every moment he'd spent with the old man. And suddenly, a memory clicked. 2 nights ago, Popper had whispered to him, voice shaking, if anything happens, if something feels wrong, tell Bobo. Tell him not everyone in the family is who they pretend to be. Della's breath caught. Could Equa know Popper warned him? He rubbed his face. Everything was getting too dark, too heavy. He was just an orphan trying to survive, not a soldier in a family war. As he stared at the floor, he felt someone sit beside him. He looked up sharply. It was the ward supervisor, a middle-aged woman with firm eyes and a stern jawline. She looked him over like she was dissecting a witness. You're Della. Yes, Ma. Madam Equa reported you as a possible threat to the patient. His eyes widened. Ma, I didn't do anything. I swear. I believe you, she said calmly. He blinked. You do. The woman leaned closer. Because Madam Equa came here an hour before the collapse, asking questions about the patient's medication. Della stiffened. What kind of questions? Who has access? Who monitors dosage? Whether visitors are always supervised? Della's pulse thundered. Why would she ask that? That, the supervisor said, is the question keeping me awake. Before he could respond, a loud crash echoed down the hall. Firefly stormed back toward them, security trailing behind him. I said I don't care what Equa told you. Firefly roared. Reverse the order now. Sir, please calm. Don't tell me to calm down. Security stepped closer. Bobo rushed out of Popper's room. Firefly. Please. This is a hospital. But Firefly only got louder. Equa is up to something. She wants Della excluded for a reason. The supervisor raised her hands. Firefly, we're handling it. Handle it faster, he snapped. Popper is dying. Bobo ran a hand through his hair, visibly unraveling. The corridor fell into tense silence again, broken only by the distant beeping of machines. Della stood quietly. The brothers were breaking down. Equa was growing more unpredictable. The truth was slipping through their fingers like sand. And Popper didn't have time for their confusion. Something had to happen. Now. 2 hours passed before the doctor allowed everyone to settle. Visitors thinned. Lights dimmed. The corridor hushed. Bobo exited Popper's room looking like he'd aged 10 years. Firefly was pacing. What did he say? Nothing, Bobo whispered. He's too weak. The brothers sat. Minutes stretched. Then Bobo spoke again. Firefly, what did Equa mean earlier? About you hiding Popper's medication. Firefly stopped pacing. His jaw flexed. Forget her words. Firefly, answer me. Silence. Della watched them. The tension, the brothers' shared pain. He understood something then. This family didn't just have secrets. They had wounds. Deep ones. Firefly finally sank into a chair. Popper asked me to hide that bottle. He said someone might try to use it against him. Bobo's voice cracked. And you didn't think to tell me? Popper told me not to. Della swallowed hard. So Popper had been afraid of someone. Who was he afraid of? Bobo whispered. Firefly hesitated. Then he looked at Della. Della's heart pounded. Ma, sir, please, don't look at me like that. I would never harm Popper. Firefly shook his head. Not you, boy. But you might be the only one he trusted enough to talk to. Bobo leaned forward. Della, did Popper ever say he feared Equa? Della opened his mouth. But suddenly the elevator dinged. Everyone turned. Equa stepped out. She wore a fresh dress, fresh makeup, fresh rage. Behind her was her lover, dressed in a crisp shirt, a smug smirk on his lips. The corridor thickened with tension. Equa lifted her chin. Good. You're all still here. Firefly stood instantly. What are you doing here with him? Equa smirked. Oh, relax. He's here because he has something to show you. Her lover stepped forward, holding a brown envelope. Bobo froze. What is that? Equa smiled. Proof. Firefly snorted. Proof of your infidelity? Equa hissed. No, idiot. Proof that Della is not who he says he is. The corridor burst into murmurs. Della's mouth fell open. What? My. Equa cut him off. Before Popper's collapse. I hired someone to dig into this boy's past. Firefly's fists balled. You did what? Equa handed the envelope to Bobo. Open it. You'll see. Bobo hesitated. Firefly grabbed the envelope, ripped it open, and pulled out a stack of documents. Then his face changed. Slowly. Horrifically. Bobo snatched the papers from him. His hands trembled as he read. Della watched in horror. What is it? Bobo lowered the papers with shaking fingers. His voice was barely a whisper. Della, according to these documents. He looked up, eyes wide with disbelief. You're not an orphan at all. The floor seemed to tilt. Della's throat closed. What? That's a lie. I don't have parents. I grew up on the street. Equa crossed her arms smugly. Really? Then how do you explain this? She snapped her fingers. Her lover stepped forward and held up a photograph. A very old photograph. Of a smiling young woman holding a baby. A baby with Della's unmistakable eyes. And standing beside her. Bobo staggered backward. Firefly gasped. Della's knees nearly gave way. That man, Bobo whispered, pointing with a shaking hand, is Popper. Silence exploded into chaos. Della's heart stopped. His vision blurred. He stared at the picture, unable to breathe, unable to think. Popper. The man he fed on the streets. The man who trusted him. The man who collapsed calling his name. Popper was in the picture with Della's mother. Firefly grabbed Bobo's arm. This is impossible. Equa folded her arms. Oh, it's very possible. Bobo's voice broke. Della. Did Popper know? Did you know? Della shook his head violently. No. No, sir. I swear on my life. I never saw that picture before. Firefly stared between the child and the picture. He looks just like Popper when he was young. Equa smiled wickedly. Exactly. Then she leaned forward, voice dripping with triumph. So tell me, why would a homeless orphan appear in a secret photograph with Popper from 17 years ago? Della felt the world collapse around him. He couldn't breathe. He couldn't speak. He could barely stand. Bobo whispered the words that shattered the corridor. Della. Who are you? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more gripping stories like this. Do you believe Della is truly Popper's hidden child, or is someone framing him? Comment below. Stop lying and tell us who you are. Firefly's shout echoed down the hospital corridor, hot and shaking with disbelief. Della flinched as if the words had struck him physically. The photograph trembled in Bobo's hands, the same photograph that had frozen everyone in place. Della felt his throat burn. Sir, please. I don't know anything about that picture. I swear. Equa's lips curled into a satisfied smirk, like a hunter watching an animal struggle in a trap. Oh, he doesn't know? How convenient. Bobo's eyes, usually soft and tired, were sharp with confusion. Della. We need the truth. There's no truth to give. Della cried. I don't know that woman. I don't know that man beside her. I grew up alone, on the streets, begging for scraps. Popper was the first person who ever showed me kindness. Equa scoffed. Oh, please. What a touching script. Firefly turned on her. Shut your mouth. This boy saved Popper's life. Can't you see he's terrified? But Equa only raised a brow. Terrified because the lies are catching up. Her lover stepped closer. The documents are clear. Birth history, early clinic records, cross-checks. It all points to one thing. Della isn't who he claims to be. Della shook his head violently. I've never been to any clinic. I've never even seen a birth record with my name on it. Bobo held up the papers, his voice trembling. Firefly, these records look legitimate. Firefly ripped them from his hands. Or forged. You think Equa can't buy lies? Equa gasped dramatically. Forged? Me? Why would I forge anything? Firefly barked. Because you're desperate. If Della is Popper's child, he has more claim than any of us, including you. Equa's face twisted. The truth hit her like a slap. If the paperwork was real, Della wasn't merely a boy in Popper's will. He would be a direct heir. Maybe even the heir. The hospital corridor went unnervingly quiet. Bobo sank onto a chair, rubbing his face. The weight of years of marriage, betrayal, secrets, and now this strange child, all crushing him at once. Della, he whispered. Come here. Della stepped forward hesitantly, tears threatening. Bobo held the photograph beside his face, studying him. The eyes. The nose. The jawline. There was a resemblance. Bobo felt his heart twist painfully. If this is true, why didn't Popper tell us? Firefly shook his head. He didn't trust Equa. That's why. Equa's face hardened. Stop dragging my name into everything. Firefly snapped. Your name is in everything. A nurse approached timidly. Please, lower your voices. Sick patients. Firefly waved her off. We're trying. Bobo's voice softened as he turned back to the boy. Della, listen. If these documents are fake, we will prove it. If they're real, we will deal with that too. But you must tell us anything Papa may have said to you. Anything. Della wiped his eyes. He only told me not everyone in the family wished him well. He didn't say who. He didn't say why. Bobo and Firefly exchanged a long, heavy look. Equa folded her arms. Touching. But let's not forget, Papa added him to the will without telling anyone. Doesn't that sound suspicious? Firefly jabbed a finger toward her. The only suspicious person here is you. You tried blocking him from seeing Papa today. I was trying to protect the patient, she snapped. From what? Firefly roared. From the boy who fed him on the streets? Or from the secrets Papa might reveal if the boy comes close? Equa's face drained of color for the first time. I didn't. Her lover cut in quickly. We should not argue over this. What matters is verifying the records. Bobo finally stood. Firefly, take Della home. I need to stay with Papa. Equa looked offended. And what about me? You, Bobo said coldly, should go home and think about what you've done today. Her mouth fell open. Bobo, you can't talk to me like. I just did. Equa's eyes filled with rage. She grabbed her lover's arm and marched toward the elevator. But just before the doors closed, she turned back. This isn't over. When Papa wakes up, the truth will come out. Firefly shot back. Yes. And you should be scared of that. The doors snapped shut. The corridor fell silent except for Della's shaky breathing and Bobo's exhausted sigh. Firefly knelt in front of Della. Listen, boy. Whether that picture is real or fake, you are coming with me. No more sleeping outside. We will protect you. Papa would want that. Della nodded slowly, overwhelmed. Bobo placed a hand on the glass window, watching the frail silhouette of his father lying in the bed. Firefly, he murmured. Tonight, everything has changed. Firefly nodded. Yes. And tomorrow it gets worse. Just then, Bobo's phone buzzed. He checked the screen, and his face went white. Firefly grabbed his arm. What is it? Bobo's voice was almost a whisper. It's Papa's lawyer. He says the second document he mentioned, the one naming the real successor, has been stolen. Firefly's eyes widened. Stolen? From his office. Bobo nodded slowly. The lawyer's message ended with one chilling line. I think the thief was someone close to the family. Della felt the back of his neck prickle. Firefly looked around the corridor as if expecting shadows to move. Bobo, he whispered. We're being watched. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more gripping stories like this. Who do you think stole the second document? Equa, her lover, or someone else entirely? Comment below. Morning smuggled itself slowly into Accra, slipping between half-drawn curtains and resting on the polished tiles of Bobo's living room. The night had been long, tense, heavy, but this morning felt different. Quiet. Too quiet. Della sat at the edge of the sofa, nervously twisting the hem of his shirt. He had slept in a bed for the first time in years, but rest had been a stranger. His mind kept circling the same questions. Who were the people in that picture? Why did someone steal the second document? And why did Equa look so frightened when Firefly accused her? Footsteps padded toward him. Firefly entered with a mug in hand. You eat? He asked, voice gentler than usual. Della shook his head. Not hungry. Firefly sighed. You have to keep your strength. This storm won't pass soon. He sat beside the boy, shoulders heavy. The morning light revealed the exhaustion in the lines around his eyes. Deeper now, etched by betrayal and sleeplessness. 4 years, the family's life had been loud, messy, dramatic, but predictable. This was different. This was the kind of chaos that changed everything. Bobo emerged from the hallway, freshly showered but weighed down by the previous night's revelation. "The lawyer is coming here," he said. "He wants to speak face to face." Firefly straightened. "Did he say anything else?" "No," Bobo hesitated. "But he sounded frightened. That alone worries me." Della swallowed hard. "You think he knows who stole the second document?" Bobo exhaled slowly. "Maybe. Or maybe he knows what was inside it." Firefly crossed his arms. "What kind of man rewrites his will twice in secret?" "One who doesn't trust the people around him," Bobo murmured. The room fell into a heavy silence. Later that morning, the house filled with the warm smell of frying eggs and onions. Della watched shyly from the kitchen doorway as Firefly cooked with quick, practiced motions. It was the first time Della had ever seen these brothers act like a real family around him. A knock broke the stillness. Bobo went to the door and returned with a tall, thin man, Papa's lawyer. His tie was crooked. His expression was tight. His hands shook slightly as he greeted them. Firefly didn't bother with pleasantries. "Tell us everything." The lawyer hesitated, then lowered his voice. "Last night, after leaving the hospital, I returned to my office. I had 2 envelopes, the revised will, and the addendum naming the successor Papa chose without informing the family." Della's stomach fluttered with unease. The lawyer continued. "The first envelope was still in my safe, untouched." He paused. "The second envelope, the one with the successor, gone." Firefly slammed his palm against the table. "Who has access to your office?" "Only me. And the receptionist. But the CCTV footage shows something strange." "What?" Bobo asked. "A woman entered the building at 9:52 p.m. She covered her face with a scarf. She knew exactly where to go. She never searched around. She walked straight to my door." Firefly's eyebrows shot up. "She picked the lock?" "No. She used a key." Bobo's breath hitched. "A key? How would she have your key?" The lawyer wiped sweat from his forehead. "I don't know. But she took the envelope and left within 2 minutes." Firefly leaned forward. "Do you know who she is?" The lawyer swallowed tightly. The build, the height, the posture, it looked like Equa, Della whispered. The lawyer didn't confirm it aloud, but the faint lowering of his eyes said enough. Bobo paced the room, running fingers through his hair. What was in the addendum? Who was the real successor Papa named? The lawyer hesitated. Firefly barked. "Say it." "I didn't read it," the lawyer confessed. "Papa sealed it himself. He said only one person had the right to open it. That person's name was written on the outside of the envelope, but I never checked." Bobo stared at him. "You didn't look?" He insisted. He said anyone who saw the name before the right time would cause an explosion in the family. His words. Firefly muttered. "Explosion? As if we aren't already burning." Della felt a wave of anxiety wash through him. If the thief stole the envelope, does that mean she knows the name now? The lawyer nodded slowly. "Yes. Then she might come after them," Firefly said grimly. "Whoever the successor is." The lawyer added, "Or she might hide it forever." Bobo suddenly stopped pacing. His eyes widened. "Wait, the CCTV. You said the woman used a key." "Yes." Bobo looked at Firefly. Firefly frowned. "What?" Bobo's voice dropped. "Equa doesn't have access to the lawyer's keys. But someone else might." The realization dawned on both brothers at the same time. Firefly whispered. "Her lover." Silence swept through the room like a cold wind. The lawyer shifted uncomfortably. "There's one more thing. At the end of the footage, the woman dropped something on her way out of the building." He reached into his briefcase and placed a small object on the table. It was a golden earring. Bobo picked it up slowly, painfully. Firefly whispered. "Is that hers?" Bobo didn't answer. He didn't need to. Before anyone could speak again, the lawyer's phone buzzed loudly. He glanced at the screen, and his face drained of every drop of color. "What now?" Firefly demanded. The lawyer turned the phone for them to see. A text message. From an unknown number. It read, "Stop digging. The successor will never be found." And below it, a live photo. A blurred silhouette standing inside Popper's hospital room. Don't miss the next chapter. Tell me in the comments. Who do you think is in the hospital room? Chaos exploded inside Bobo's living room the moment the lawyer showed the message. Firefly snatched the phone out of his hand. Inside Popper's hospital room? Firefly barked. Who would dare? But Bobo was already grabbing his car keys. We're going there. Now. Della hesitated, heart hammering. He wasn't used to riding in cars, much less rushing into danger with a wealthy family torn apart by secrets. But something in the picture, the silhouette facing the hospital window, the cold threat in the message, made his skin crawl. That person wasn't just spying. They were planning something. Bobo touched Della's shoulder gently. You're coming with us. Popper would want you safe. Della nodded, though fear twisted in his chest. The lawyer followed them reluctantly, visibly shaking. Firefly opened the door roughly, muttering curses under his breath as they stepped out into the humid Accra morning. At the hospital, the corridors smelled sharply of disinfectant. Nurses bustled past, oblivious to the storm brewing at the entrance. Bobo walked straight to the reception desk. Room 317. Now. The nurse blinked. Sir, visiting hours are. Firefly slammed his palm on the counter. We are not here for visiting hours. The nurse froze, intimidated. She pointed shakily down the hallway. Bobo marched ahead, the others trailing behind him. But as they turned the corner, they stopped dead in their tracks. A security guard stood outside Popper's room, shoulders tense, walkie-talkie buzzing on his belt. What's going on? Bobo demanded. The guard shifted uncomfortably. Sir, the patient requested privacy. Firefly exploded. Privacy? Popper can barely speak. But the guard stepped forward. I'm sorry, sir. A woman is inside with him. Bobo froze. The lawyer did too. Della whispered. A woman. Firefly narrowed his eyes. Describe her. The guard scratched his head. I didn't see her face. She wore a scarf. She said she was family. Bobo's jaw tightened. We're his only family. Firefly tried to push past the guard, but the man blocked him, apologetic but firm. I was instructed. A woman doesn't have the right to give you instructions about our father. Firefly snapped. Just then, the door opened a tiny crack. Everyone's breath stopped. A slender hand, dark-skinned, delicate, with bright red polish, gripped the edge of the door before pulling it fully open. ESI stepped out. The housekeeper. Her eyes were swollen from tears, her posture trembling. Bobo stepped forward, stunned. ESI. What are you doing here? ESI dabbed her eyes with her scarf and whispered. I needed to clean him. He hates being dirty, even in sickness. The men froze, exchanging glances. Firefly sighed, shoulders relaxing slightly. You scared us. But Della didn't relax. Something about her didn't feel right. ESI's hands were shaking too violently. Her breathing was uneven. And despite her explanation, she was clutching her handbag too tightly, as if hiding something inside. ESI avoided their eyes. He's sleeping now. Bobo gently touched her arm. Why were the lights turned off? They were too bright, she whispered. Firefly brushed past her and opened the door fully. The room was indeed dark. Popper lay motionless on the bed, chest rising and falling shallowly, machines beeping in steady rhythm. But something else caught Firefly's eye. A chair near the bed, pushed back sharply, as if someone had stood up too fast. He turned. ESI, How long have you been here? She stepped backward. Not long. Maybe 15 minutes. The lawyer asked quietly, did you see anyone else inside? ESI swallowed hard. No. Bobo studied her carefully. You're sure? I said no, she repeated, but her voice trembled. Firefly squinted. What's in your bag? ESI clutched it tighter. Personal things. He reached for it. Open it. No, she cried, stepping back another pace. The guard stiffened. The lawyer covered his mouth. Della's heart pounded wildly. Bobo's voice dropped low. ESI, why don't you want us to see what's inside your bag? Tears filled her eyes. Please, leave it alone. But Firefly had no patience left. Give me the bag. He grabbed it. ESI screamed. Don't. But he was already opening it. Everyone leaned forward in breathless silence as Firefly pulled out a small black USB drive. Bobo blinked in confusion. What is this? ESI burst into tears, falling to her knees. I didn't steal anything. I didn't mean to take it. The lawyer stepped closer, face paling. That looks like the kind of drive Popper used for personal documents. Bobo stared at the trembling woman on the floor. ESI, how long have you had that? Her tears streamed freely now. I found it on Popper's study desk months ago. I kept it because I thought it contained family photos. He never told me to return it. I swear. Firefly growled. So the thief stole the envelope, but you had the digital copy? ESI shook her head frantically. I didn't know. I've never opened it. I swear on my mother's grave. Della suddenly turned toward the room and froze. There were footprints on the tiled floor near the window. Fresh ones. Small. Feminine. ESI's shoes were completely dry. Someone else had been inside. Recently. He pointed. Look. Everyone spun to face the tiny trail of damp footprints leading toward the open balcony door. The guard ran forward, pushing the door wide open. A gust of warm Accra wind rushed in. Down below, in the hospital courtyard, a woman in a headscarf was disappearing into the crowd. You dare bring another woman to my father's house, EKUA? Firefly's voice thundered through the dining room like a spiritual warning. What would you do if your husband said this to you? Hit like if you've ever witnessed betrayal, and drop a comment telling us where you're watching from. The long mahogany table inside the Mensima mansion trembled as everyone shot to their feet. The air smelled of Contamire stew and roasted tilapia, but the warmth of dinner had died instantly the moment the front door slammed open. Della, the skinny homeless boy who had been hired earlier that week to help sweep the compound, froze by the wall. He had never seen a house this grand. Gold-rimmed plates, chandeliers that looked like falling stars, polished floors. He didn't belong here, and now, with voices rising like flames in Harmattan, he wished he could vanish. Ekwa Mensima slowly lifted her chin, defiant in her pearl-trimmed wrapper. Her face was carved in arrogance. I don't owe any of you an explanation, she hissed. Bobo does not satisfy me. Must I die in a cold marriage? The room erupted. Cold marriage. Bobo Mensima, billionaire businessman, calm by nature, stood up so fast his chair scraped loudly. Ekwa, this is a family dinner. My father is sick in the next room. How could you bring Kwame? He stopped himself. He had almost said the forbidden name. Ekwa's smile was wicked. Say it. The whole country will soon know anyway. Why hide it from your family? Firefly slammed his fist on the table. You brought another man into this house? When our father may not live to see tomorrow. Della's eyes widened. Their father was dying? He remembered the old man he had fed outside the abandoned market stall that morning. Frail, coughing, begging for water. But that man couldn't be. No, it couldn't be him. Bobo's hand shook as he pointed at his wife. Ekwa, How could you disgrace this family like this? You are my wife. And you are my disappointment, she snapped back sharply. The insult sliced through him. The dining room shook with silence, the dangerous kind, heavy and expecting violence. But this family didn't fight with fists, they fought with words sharp enough to bleed the soul. Firefly leaned forward. Equa, if you weren't a woman I respected for marrying my brother, the things I'd say. Oh please, she scoffed. You all pretend to care about marriage, but your own girlfriend left you because you're broke and bitter. Don't lecture me. That's enough. Bobo barked. Even the chandelier seemed to vibrate from the force. Equa tossed her braids over her shoulder and reached for her wine glass. I will not be shouted at like a street girl. I brought a guest. If you don't like it, that's your business. Bobo nearly choked. Guest. Firefly spat. Homewrecker, you mean? Equa laughed. A cold, taunting laugh that filled the entire room. You men hate when women play the same game you play. I am tired of being the obedient wife. Tired of your controlled marriage. Tired of your mother's spirit still haunting this house. Tired of pretending to live a perfect life. Bobo's eyes darkened. Equa, have some respect. For what? She snapped. Your dying father? The same father who never liked me. Della gasped softly. He had seen that old man, thin, coughing, barely able to stand, but he never imagined he belonged to this world of chandeliers and screaming elites. Equa's words pierced the mansion like spears. Let the old man die, she said coldly. Then maybe we can all breathe. Bobo's hand trembled at his side. Firefly's nostrils flared like a bull ready to charge. ESI, the elderly housekeeper, pressed her hand to her chest and whispered a prayer under her breath. Della pressed himself against the wall, wishing he could melt into the paint. Equa wasn't done. You think I'm stupid, she said with a smirk. You think I don't know Bobo plans to cut me out of his inheritance? You think I don't know what your father has been whispering to him? Bobo froze. Firefly turned slowly, eyes wide. ESI gasped. Della stared, confused but terrified. Equa smiled like a cobra. That's right. I know about the will. Bobo's lips parted in shock. Equa, how did you? You men never hide your papers well, she said. Your father wants to leave everything to Della. The room collapsed into pure confusion. Della who? Firefly shouted. Exactly, Equa taunted. A homeless boy you picked up like a stray puppy. Your father has lost his mind. Della felt his knees weaken. Him. How? Why? Equa's voice rose like a witch claiming victory. You want to know why? Ask your beloved father why he's riding his billions to a street child instead of his family. Bobo's voice broke. Equa, stop. But she was too far gone. You're all fools. Soon everyone will know the truth about this family. And trust me, I will burn this entire mansion to the ground before I let a gutter boy inherit what rightfully belongs to me. The room went still. Dead still. Even the birds outside the window seemed to hold their breath. Della whispered. I don't understand. Bobo turned to him slowly, pain twisting his face. Della, did you say you fed a sick old man today? Della nodded, trembling. Yes, sir, by the old market. He was coughing. And weak. I gave him my bread. Firefly stepped closer. What did he look like? Della described him. Bobo's hands shook violently. That was my father. Equa smirked. See. The perfect little angel saved Papa Mensima. That alone makes him more useful to this family than your wife. Firefly roared. Ekua, leave this house now. But Equa did not move. Instead, she walked to the head of the table, sat in Papa Mensima's empty chair, crossed her legs, and raised her wine glass. I'm not going anywhere, she said sweetly. Not until you meet my guest. Firefly frowned. Where is this stupid man you brought? Let him come and see. A knock echoed on the door. Slow. Confident. Wrong. Ekwa smiled wickedly. He's here. Bobo shook his head. Ekwa, don't do this. My father is dying. My family is in pain. Please, not tonight. She leaned forward, whispering like poison. Oh Bobo, tonight is exactly the night. She clapped twice. The door opened. A tall man stepped inside, handsome, muscular, wearing an expensive suit and a smirk that carried sin. Firefly tensed. Who is this? Ekwa rose proudly. My lover. ESI gasped. Bobo staggered backward. Della covered his mouth. Firefly nearly exploded. The stranger slid his arm around Ekwa's waist and whispered loudly enough for everyone to hear. Good evening, family. I've been looking forward to meeting all of you. Bobo's voice came out cracked. Ekwa, how could you do this? Publicly. In my own father's house. Ekwa placed her head boldly on the man's shoulder. Oh Bobo. This is only the beginning. The man stepped forward confidently. We have some news. And trust me, you'll want to sit down. Firefly clenched his fists. I swear if you don't talk. Ekwa lifted her hand. Patience. You'll all hear it soon. Especially now that your father is rewriting his will. Bobo blinked. Rewriting. What do you mean rewriting? We burned the old copy because... Ekwa grinned triumphantly. You burned the wrong one. Silence. Real, deep, bone-cracking silence. Then, a loud crash echoed from the hallway. A body hitting the floor. ESI screamed, Papa Mensima. Everyone ran toward the sound. Except Ekwa, who smiled with victory already gleaming in her eyes. Della's heart hammered as he followed the family. And when they reached the hallway, they saw it. Papa Mensima lying unconscious. One hand clutching a folder. The hospital courtyard buzzed with late morning movement, nurses changing shifts, visitors carrying fruit baskets, the distant hum of traffic along Ring Road. But for Bobo, Firefly, the lawyer, Della, and ESI, everything felt strangely muted. They had all rushed to the balcony, staring down at the disappearing figure in the headscarf. Firefly muttered. She knew we were coming. Someone warned her. Bobo clenched his jaw. Or she was watching us the whole time. The lawyer swallowed nervously. Someone clearly doesn't want the successor revealed. Della leaned forward, gripping the railing. His heart pounded with a mixture of fear and curiosity. The woman moved with certainty. She wasn't panicked, wasn't scrambling. She walked like someone who had a plan. Firefly pulled out his phone. I'm calling the police. Bobo grabbed his wrist. And say what? That a mysterious woman in a scarf looked suspicious? They'll laugh us out of the station. Firefly hissed under his breath, pacing like a trapped lion. ESI stood silently behind them, clutching the USB drive tightly. Her eyes were swollen, her voice barely above a whisper. The person who came in, she wasn't me. I swear. Bobo softened. ESI, we know. You wouldn't hurt Papa. But Firefly wasn't convinced. She still hid something important. It wasn't hidden, ESI said softly. I just didn't know what it was. The lawyer cleared his throat. If that drive contains a copy of Papa's will, it might also have the name of the successor. They all turned toward him. Bobo exhaled slowly. We need to view it. Della swallowed. Where? My office, the lawyer replied. It's safer there than in the house. Firefly snorted. Clearly not safe enough, since someone already broke in. The lawyer winced. Point taken. But we need privacy, and a secure computer. Bobo nodded reluctantly. Fine. But we go together. Nobody splits up. Della looked back down at the courtyard one last time. The scarfed woman had vanished completely, swallowed by the hospital's constant movement. And yet, Something deep inside him whispered, "She'll be back." On the drive to the lawyer's office, Accra's midday heat slammed into the car windows as they drove. The air vibrated with the distant sounds of trotro horns, street vendors calling out prices, and Afrobeats leaking from passing cars. Della sat in the back seat beside ESI, who kept wiping her eyes quietly. He finally whispered, why were you crying so much in the room?" She hesitated. The wind brushed her scarf gently. "I wasn't crying because of the USB," she murmured. "I was crying because—" Papa opened his eyes. Della jolted. "What?" Firefly spun around from the front seat. "What did you say?" ESI nodded slowly. He didn't speak. Not a word. But he opened his eyes just for a moment. And he looked frightened. Bobo's grip tightened on the steering wheel. "Why didn't you tell us immediately?" ESI's voice trembled. Because I thought maybe I imagined it. Or maybe it would make things worse. You all already think someone wants to harm him." Firefly frowned deeply. "Did he react to the woman in the scarf?" ESI hesitated again. "I don't know. The lights were dim. But I think he recognized someone." Bobo whispered. "Recognized who?" She looked down. "I don't know." The car fell into tense silence. At the lawyer's office, the security guard buzzed them in. The lawyer hurried to his desk and turned on the computer. "Let's pray this drive works," he muttered. Firefly crossed his arms. "If Papa stored anything important, he encrypted it. You know that." The lawyer nodded. He trusted technology more than people. Bobo paced behind them, Della stood close, and ESI hovered anxiously at the door. At last, the computer beeped. The USB drive loaded. A single folder appeared on the screen. "For the successor only." Firefly leaned in. "Open it." The lawyer clicked, and a password prompt appeared. Bobo groaned. "Of course." Firefly threw up his hands. "Great. We're stuck." But Della stepped forward. "Try his birthday." The lawyer typed it. "Error." "Try his mother's name," Bobo suggested. "Error." "Try the family house address," Firefly offered. "Error." Della stared at the screen, brows knit. Something inside him whispered that Papa would never choose something obvious. He whispered, "Try Della." Everyone froze. Firefly scoffed. The boy. No offense, but Papa barely knew him. Bobo shook his head slowly. "No. Papa never did anything without a reason." The lawyer typed. DELA. He pressed enter. The folder opened. Everyone gasped. Inside was a single PDF file titled, "Final Succession, for my true heir." Firefly clutched the back of the chair. "Open it." The lawyer hesitated. "Are we sure?" Bobo nodded grimly. "Open it." The lawyer double-clicked the file. The screen blinked. Loading. Loading. And then, the document appeared. But before a single name could be read, the entire screen went black. The office lights flickered once, twice, and then shut off completely. ESI screamed. Firefly grabbed Della. Bobo shouted, "What happened?" From the hallway, a voice called, "Power outage." "But the strange thing is, only your office went dark." The lawyer's face drained of color. "Someone cut the power." Della whispered, heart racing. "Because they don't want us to see the name." The lawyer's office was pitch black. Only the distant glow from outdoor street lamps seeped through the blinds. Panic filled the room like smoke. Firefly shoved the curtains open. Someone tampered with the building's power. "This wasn't an accident." Bobo grabbed the lawyer. "Does this office have a backup generator?" "Yes, downstairs," the lawyer gasped. "Then start it," Bobo ordered. They rushed into the hallway, footsteps echoing urgently. ESI clutched Della's hand as they descended the stairs. The air grew warmer, thicker, and then they heard it. A faint metallic clang. Someone was downstairs. Firefly whispered, "She's here." Another clang echoed. A shadow moved behind the generator cage. Della felt a chill crawl up his spine. "She's trying to stop the generator." Bobo marched forward. "Come out. Now." The figure bolted. A woman in a long maroon scarf sprinted across the basement, her footsteps slapping the concrete floor. Firefly dashed after her, yelling, "Stop running." She raced toward the exit, but slipped on an oil patch and crashed onto the floor. Her bag skidded across the ground, spilling papers and a burner phone. Bobo reached her first. He tore off the scarf. Gasps echoed through the basement. "Equa." Her face twisted in fury and fear as she scrambled to her knees. "You weren't supposed to follow me." Firefly grabbed her arm. "You sabotaged the power. You stole the envelope. You were in Papa's room. What were you trying to hide?" Equa snapped, "I did what I had to do to protect this family." Bobo stared at her, heartbroken. "Lies. Protect who? Yourself? Your lover?" Equa's lips quivered, emotions swirling like a storm. "You don't understand. If that document is revealed, everything will fall apart. Our marriage, our finances. People will ridicule us. I won't be humiliated." Firefly barked. "You already are." Equa's voice cracked. "You think I cheated because I wanted to? You think I enjoyed sneaking around? I was lonely. Your brother treated me like a trophy. He ignored me for years." Bobo flinched as if struck. Her tears fell freely. "But I swear on my life, I never tried to kill Papa." Della stepped forward, heart pounding. "Then why steal the addendum? Why cut the power?" Equa's voice softened, trembling. "Because I saw the name outside the envelope." Everyone froze. "You know who the successor is?" Bobo whispered. Equa nodded slowly, bitterly. "Yes." Firefly lunged. "Who?" Equa looked straight at Della. The boy froze. "It's him," she said. "Della." Silence swallowed the basement. Even the hum of the generator felt distant. Della shook his head slowly. "No, that can't be. I'm nobody." Equa wiped her face. "Papa didn't see you as nobody. He saw the boy who fed him in the streets. The boy who showed him kindness when his own family failed. And he said something to me, the day before he collapsed." Everyone leaned in. Equa whispered. "He said, I found my true heir in a place none of you bothered to look." Bobo's eyes filled with a mix of pain and shame. Firefly looked as though someone had slapped the breath out of him. Isai covered her mouth with trembling hands. Della backed up, breath shallow. "I didn't ask for any of this. I only helped him because he was lonely and hungry." "And that," Bobo said quietly, "is exactly why he chose you." Equa slammed her fist against the floor. "He was going to expose me, and my affair, and ruin everything. So yes, I tried to hide the document, for survival, not murder." Firefly grabbed her shoulders. "You will confess everything you did." Equa's voice steadied. "Fine. But let me see the boy become heir with my own eyes. I owe Papa that much." The lawyer stepped toward the generator, flipped the switch. Light flooded the basement. Bobo turned to him. "Let's see the document." Back upstairs. The reveal. The computer rebooted. The USB drive flashed. The same PDF file appeared on the screen. Bobo placed a hand on Della's shoulder. Firefly stood on his other side. ESI hugged herself tightly, whispering prayers under her breath. The lawyer double-clicked the file. The document opened instantly. At the top, in bold handwriting, "My chosen heir is Della, the boy who showed me the love my own children forgot." Della's vision blurred with tears. ESI sobbed behind him. Firefly lowered his head, devastated but humbled. Bobo broke down completely. Years of guilt poured out as he pulled Della into a tight embrace. Forgive us for failing him. And for failing you. And in that moment, Della felt something he hadn't felt in years. Home. Papa's voice echoed in his memory. Kindness is the only true inheritance. Equa turned away, defeated, silently accepting the consequences of her actions. The lawyer cleared his throat. The will is legally binding. Della is now the rightful successor. Della exhaled slowly, whispering, I'll take care of his legacy. And of all of you. Bobo nodded. Firefly wiped his face with the back of his hand. The fractured family, wounded but healing, stood together, united by truth. Thank you for watching Stories under Stona. Justice has been served, but what lesson did you take from this story? Comment below, like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more powerful African family dramas.